at the doctor. Yes, he's got it. Here he comes. Way rocks the baby to sleep and slams up. And the doctor made a sensational play. In front, the foot, did they score? And Giroux got it. Las fires. Blast and goal! Brady back again. He's got to be 10 and go forward. And he fumbles the football and the Eagles have it.
We welcome to the Phillies Sports Hour here on a beautiful Saturday morning. It's been a beautiful week here in Philadelphia and finally feeling like spring and a little bit of summer too. It's getting a little too hot. But anyway, NFL draft underway. Got a lot to talk about today. We're going to talk about some lowly Phillies as well. Helping do that, it's Matt Brown. Matt, how are we doing?
Doing really good today. This is in my opinion, been such a great month of sports. Baseball's finally kicking off. We got the NFL draft. Masters were awesome a couple weeks ago. Finished up NCAA tournament. We're finally getting into the end of everything else. Now we have the NBA playoffs and NHL playoffs too. That's been great. And we're finally getting into summer, like you said. That warm weather's coming out, and maybe that's the problem that the Phillies need. They need some warm weather to hit better, but I don't know. But yeah, doing great right now. Loving watching the draft these past 2 days, and we got still a big day ahead of us for day 3 of the draft coming up for the Eagles.
We sure do. I feel like February, the end of the Super Bowl to the beginning of March Madness is the dark days of sports. We're currently in a brighter spot. We got, as you said, March Madness just finished up. Got some other stuff that are going on. So it's a good time to be a sports fan, and it is a good time to be an Eagles fan as well. So we're going to jump right into it. NFL draft is underway. Let's start with round 1, where the Eagles selected Jihaad Campbell with the first round pick 31, linebacker from Bama, 6'3", 245. And how did this dude fall to 31? This guy is a good football player and should not have been there at 31 for the Eagles.
No, 100%. So the main concern with Campbell has been he's had a little bit of injury history these last couple seasons, and I truly believe that if injuries were put aside, talent-wise, Jihaad Campbell would have been a top 10 pick. I think Carolina at 8 could have been a team that could have picked him. Then even the Saints at 9, he would have gone inside the top 10. He had that much talent, but he had concerns with his shoulder injury. It definitely is still a concern, and it might be something that's been talked about in the Twitter world of insiders with the Eagles that he may miss part of this upcoming rookie season for the Eagles because he has to get another shoulder surgery. We'll see about that, and we'll see what happens with him. But right now, the Eagles flat out got a top 10 talent player in this draft at pick 31. Whether or not he starts the year healthy or not, when he is healthy on the field, eventually, because he's eventually going to get healthy, he can be a dominant linebacker in the NFL. And I really think the Eagles got value in this pick. You obviously could tell that the Eagles really wanted this guy. There have been reports that they were trying to trade up to the Chargers' 22nd pick and take Campbell at that pick 10 spots earlier when they were slotted. So they were going to have to give up a lot to move up from 32 to 22. Probably, I would say the Falcons trade a first-round pick to move back in to the first round. I don't know if they would have traded a first-round pick next year, but they probably would have considered it because they really like this kid. But they didn't have to do that. They traded up one spot from 32 to 31 to get Campbell, and obviously it worked out for them because Cleveland yesterday took a linebacker with the 33rd pick. I believe it was Carter Schlesinger from UCLA. Yeah, it was. They obviously were aiming for a linebacker at 33. So you obviously could tell Howie Roseman knows what he's doing sometimes with these moves and knows, why did he just trade up one spot to get a guy? Well, somebody was definitely talking that they wanted to trade up and get their guy. They made sure they got Campbell. He's a really good fit for this team. I honestly think Jihaad Campbell is just someone that you don't know what position he's going to play, but he's going to play front 7. He's going to be an edge rusher. He's going to be a linebacker and coverage in the middle of the field. And he's got some really great guys around him. Guys like Zach Bond that are going to teach him how to play linebacker at the next level and just be really good. And Vic Fangio as well, a fantastic defensive coordinator that he gets to play for now. And I really think that talent alone, this is a great pick at 31, but overall, the player alone is a really good pick at 31 as well. And this could honestly end up being maybe the biggest draft steal in the entire draft if he turns into an all-pro linebacker like Bond.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty incredible. It's just like Howie Roseman sometimes has to trade up a few picks to get who he wants. This time, Campbell kind of just fell into their lap. Of course, you heard that they were trying to trade up farther and farther in the draft. I think sometimes these teams start seeing a 215 number, they just don't even pick up the phone.
100%.
But yeah, they get their guy. He'll line up with Zach Baldwin to start the year if Nakobe Dean's out. And it sure sounds like they're drafting Jihaad Campbell to be to get the passer, to rush the passer from the line, kind of be an edge rusher. And he's done it before. He's good at really everything he does, he is good at. And so do you see him kind of being that with the Eagles, and that's kind of what they're targeting with him?
And 100%. Like, I saw something on Twitter. I wish I could find it this tweet. I was trying to find it this morning when I was doing my notes, but somebody called him the Cooper DeJean of the front seven, like for this Eagles defense. And I really agree with that. I truly think that Vic Fangio is going to just put him and let him play front seven. I keep saying, like, what's front seven? If you don't know what front seven is, for anybody out there that's watching, it's the defensive line and the linebacker, the front seven of the box. He's just going to be in that box, and you don't know what he's going to do. He could play off the ball linebacker and go into coverage and coverage tight ends and slot wide receivers. He can press blitzes in the gap and come up big. He could come off the edge because apparently he's going to be an edge rusher as well, and he could come off the edge and be like a Micah Parsons type kind of player. He really has the opportunity to do anything they want with it. He is just a fill-in and plug player that is just going to be all over this field. And I'm really excited. I'm getting really hyped talking about this kid because I really think he is going to be a really good pick for this team, for a team that just has lost a couple playmakers this past year in Sweat and Williams and Mekhi Becton on offense and Isaiah Rodgers and with the corner as well. They just lost some key guys, but they're bringing in younger talent that just has a boom in this league. And especially with the way this league is adapted with linebackers, you got more skinny guys like the Micah Parsons of the world that are now rushing the passer and just trying to get as fast as they can back to the quarterback. Campbell has such a great opportunity here. I like this kid too. He's a native kid. He's from Camden. He really just wants to just play football, and I really like that about this kid. I think, again, you could just fill him into any spot you really feel like could work out for him, and he could just do so many great things in this league. And I'm really excited for him to finally get healthy because I really, truly think that the Eagles got a steal on this kid right now.
Yeah, it's certainly, from how it was perceived draft night and how it's looking, this is a steal for the Eagles. South Jersey kid, grew up an Eagles fan. When he got his call running down the hallway
awesome.
onto the stage, he was electric, and it was great to see. So really excited for Campbell. And I mean, great when you try and grade this, because we're gonna do some grading today. When I try and grade this, I mean, I can't not give it minimum an A flat. Like, this is one of the, right now, this feels like one of the best picks Howie Roseman has made, with just how, like, a little bit of luck, and you see him on your board, like, this guy's still here. Let's go get him now. How would you grade this Campbell pick?
No, I think this is 100% at least a flat A, and we'll see what happens with the injuries to see if that affected. But it's kind of similar to the Quinyon Mitchell situation last year. Quinyon was talked in a way as the best cornerback last year, and thankfully 6 quarterbacks ended up going in the front 12 of that draft, and Quinyon just kept sliding and sliding down the draft board. You kind of just feel like he had a little bit of concern this year with Campbell with the injury. That was the reason he just kept sliding and sliding and sliding. And the Eagles were just hoping that he would end up falling down the 20s, and more or less he fell to the 30s, which is even crazy to say that. But this is such a great talent pick for Howie and for the scouting team as a general, just to be able to get this guy into their building is a masterclass of a thing for Howie. And it's a thing that, in my opinion, keeps the Eagles good. This is things like round 1 when they pick Campbell is why the Eagles are good all of a sudden. And they draft great players and they bring in the right people that need to be for this organization. Moves like that help dynasties going. I kind of compare it to like how when the New England Patriots, after they lost to the Giants twice lost to the Giants the first time in the Super Bowl, they hadn't been to the Super Bowl in like 10 years other than the year they lost the undefeated season. And for Brady, it was the second half of his career, and he was kind of, done with all the Teddy Bruschi's and the great defenses of the world. And the Patriots pretty much need to start over with skill position guys. And they draft guys like Rob Gronkowski in the second round. They find a gem like that. They find gems like Julian Edelman and Wes Welker, who people really just didn't think were great. good teams draft guys who fall into their laps, and that is what continues to make a dynasty so good and good. They already have the stars locked down. They got the Jalen Hurts, the Barkleys, the Lane Johnsons, the Jordan Mailatas, the A.J. Browns, the Devontae Smith. They already got them locked down. On defense, you're going to lock down Jalen Carter next offseason. They have the key pieces. Now they just got to find pick and pull players that they can continue to filter in year after year after year. And that's what makes dynasties. And honestly, right now, it's crazy to say that the Eagles are going back to back because it's such a hard thing to do in the NFL. But picks like Campbell and picks like another guy we're going to talk about right after the second round, like Mukuba, those are guys that you just keep filling in, filling out. When old free agents leave, the new ones come in and they just fill into this defense and this offense, and you just continue to have a really good team moving forward. And that's how good teams operate. And the Eagles have finally figured out that formula.
Yeah, they figured it out and are starting to master it. Even when they need to trade up, they are able to get their guys. Campbell, and you mentioned it, Mukuba filling in. Like, I see Campbell, you lose Josh Sweat, big time playmaker on the edge. You fill him in with Jihaad Campbell.
Mm-hmm.
Safety, you lose C.J. Gardner-Johnson, who's a turnover machine. You're able to fill him in with Andrew Mukuba, who also forces a ton of turnovers. We'll dive more deeper into him in a little bit, but it's Howie being Howie, and It solidifies how just unbelievable of a football mind that he is, and this Eagles front office and Nick Sirianni and everything, and like Howie, I don't even know what to say anymore. Howie's the man. Like I've run out of things to say.
No, there's two things in my opinion that make Howie Roseman the best GM in football, and I say this with the utmost respect. There's a lot of really good GMs in this league, but the two things in my opinion that make Howie really good, one is handling the cap. He has always been a guy who knows how to handle his cap with the Eagles. He had his old buddy that used to do it with him. He's not there anymore. I forget what that guy's name is. I think he's working for like the NFL now because of how great he was with salary cap numbers. They were always able to handle the cap and know when they're supposed to give contracts to certain guys, when they can move off guys, and when they can make money. And you see it now. The Eagles still have a ton of cap room if they wanted to sign guys, but they don't want to because they already have a loaded roster. They don't need to spend on guys really that much. That's number one, why he's good. Number two is he's really good at just getting young talent in here and developing. Developing is more the coach's thing, but just getting young talent that can develop into new guys that can be stars on this team, or guys that can develop into guys who are going to get big contracts like the Milton Williams and Josh Sweat, who will give you comp picks like next year. Next year, the Eagles have 3 comp picks in one in the 3rd, 4th, and 5th round. That's huge. They have so much assets now moving forward as a championship team because they developed well and they found studs in the 3rd and the 4th round. Things like that are just so big to a team that if you just continue that process, maybe this year they find guys today on day 3 that turn into top free agents in a couple years from now, and then you recoup more draft picks and more. It's such a great process that you're in, and it's crazy that no teams are able to get this process going themselves. And yes, it's a little bit of luck. They've hit on a lot of draft picks in these last couple of drafts. That has helped a lot, but it's just about doing the right thing and scouting well and knowing what guys fit your system so well. And the Eagles and Howie Roseman and the entire front office has just done a really good job at this.
He's also Howie's not afraid to take a chance. So with Jalen Carter a few years ago, he had those off the field issues.
Mm-hmm.
The Eagles took him at 10, and he's or 9, 10, whatever.
Yeah, 9,
and he's turned out to be one of the best defensive linemen in the NFL, if not the best.
I think he's top 10 defensive player right now.
Yeah, he is a huge reason. He's the reason the Eagles won that NFC divisional game in the snow against the Rams, and was a big reason the Eagles won that Super Bowl. They got the picture of him slapping Patrick Mahomes' face literally in the building. And now here, that's just one example. There's so many other examples, but now here with Campbell, he's got that shoulder thing. He was falling. Eagles not afraid to take the chance on him. Take him at 31, fell into their lap, and it seems like an easy decision, but taking a chance on a guy is not. There's so many other things that need to be thought about when making a draft pick like this. And Howie Roseman looks at the player, and he sees a great player. He takes him, and he knows that with the mentorship in the Philadelphia Eagles organization, they'll be able to fix things.
Yeah, right before we move on, just to add 2 more to that. Look at last year's draft, Quinyon and Cooper DeJean. Quinyon Mitchell was a Toledo guy. We're drafting a cornerback from Toledo. Yeah, because he's the next Darrelle Revis. That's why we're drafting a kid from Toledo. And Cooper DeJean, again, with the whole white cornerback thing and all that, but he was looked down upon very big. He was one of the best talents in this draft last year, and he didn't go till pick 40. So they just know, like you said, what guys they want to take a chance on and really just have the talent to fit their scheme and can really make this organization keep running. And they've done a very good job these last couple of drafts of being able to find those guys who just fit so well.
All right, let's look at the full round one list. Cam Ward, of course, going number 1. Travis Hunter, Jags traded up for him at number 2. He's going to play wide receiver and quarterback
Love it.
for the Jacksonville. That's going to be some fun. I really want to dive into the New York Giants' first round. Of course, they take your guy, Abdul Carter, at number 3. You knew it was happening. It still sucks to see. And then they trade back in at 25, and they take Jackson Dart, quarterback from Ole Miss, over Shedeur Sanders.
Yeah.
And, I mean, at first I was like, oh, no. Like, Giants have their quarterback for the future. They announced Russell Wilson's going to start this season. They have Jameis Winston. Jackson Dart might be the quarterback 3 on this team in his rookie year. Like, I don't fully understand why you would pick Dart this year when he's not going to play this year. And there's a better class next year. That's where I'm at right now with Jackson Dart. Also, he doesn't really blow me away. Can you convince me otherwise?
So I really can't. So I understand why this draft pick was taken for Dart. Personally, in my opinion, I don't think Dart's that great. If you read my post for PhillySportsReport.com, I talked about my top players in this draft. I had Jackson Dart as my 6th best quarterback in this draft. I really didn't think he was that great. Overall, I understand why they drafted this quarterback, because Joe Shane and Brian Dable, they're on the hot seat, and they need a reason to tell John Mara next year, like come this next season, why they should keep their jobs. And they're hoping that Jackson Dart is that guy. I don't see it that well. I mean, I really don't understand. They're saying he has Jalen Hurts comparisons. I don't see that as well. I think it's a slap in the face to Jalen Hurts. I get what on the certain like traits with the running, throwing the run, and just kind of playmaking maybe a little bit. I can kind of see that. But Jalen Hurts was a winner. I mean, yeah, there's my rankings right there. Tyler Shuck ended up going the second round. Miller went round 3. Shedeur is still off the board. I still can't believe that. That's a huge draft slide. But overall, they did this trade up back into the first round because they really just need a blue chip prospect that they can convince next year to keep their jobs, Joe Shane and Brian Dable. That's really the only reason why. And the worst part is, if the Giants go out next season and they start 1-10 or 1-9 or whatever, Brian Dable might get fired. And he might not even get a chance to have Jackson Dart be his quarterback. And the process for the Giants is just going to go back to where they were with Daniel Jones. They have a kid on a rookie contract. Rookie contracts are so big in this league that you have to at least give the kid a chance to see if he can be your franchise guy. But I think next year, if they fire Brian Dable and Joe Shane, Brian Dable especially, I think the Giants are just looking at another long 3-4 year rebuild before they even get back to where they want to be. And it's great for Eagles fans because it's probably not going to make the Giants that great of a team. I think their defense is getting really better. I think their front seven is really good. Adding, Abdul Carter with Dexter Lawrence and Brian Burns. That's a really good front seven. But, man, this offense, it's going to be a struggle. I think Russ is going to be okay for them, but nothing special, man. Overall, I just don't think that was the right thing to do as a franchise. I think they should have drafted Abdul and just gone best player available at that time if they wanted to trade back up. But I understand why they go quarterback. They got to hope that he's the next star in this league so that they can keep their jobs, really.
Yeah, no more Arch Manning fantasies for Giants fans, which kind of makes me a little happy. Other notable
100%.
things, Dallas goes with Tyler Booker from Alabama, which I got a good laugh at. I thought that was kind of an interesting one.
Yeah, it's a good O-line pick. They replaced Zach Martin. I don't know if he's going to be that great of a player. I think it's a bit of a reach, but I can understand why they went guard. They need to replace Zach Martin. Zach Martin was a big player for them for a long time.
And then what I want to ask you about, Chicago at number 10 goes Colston Loveland, tight end from Michigan, over Tyler Warren, who went 14 to Indianapolis. I mean, you're the Penn State guy. You got dude from Michigan going over your guy. It doesn't feel great.
I love Loveland. I love both him and Warren. Personally, I think Warren's the better prospect and better tight end in this league. I think Warren's in a better spot, though, because I think he can be a number 1 or number 2 guy in Indianapolis now as a receiver for Anthony Richardson. I think Warren may have been lost in the pack a little bit with the Bears, with DJ Moore, who's the other? Roma Dunze, and they even had Cole Kmet. They already had a tight end too. The Colts really needed a tight end, but Loveland, he kind of is like a bigger, like kind of wider, like a Kelvin Benjamin type player, where he's just more been a tight end because like that's just he's a bigger guy, but he also can play wide receiver. I think he has better route running a little bit than Warren and can get open a little bit more. But Warren is just that Swiss Army knife. I think it might be a miss for Chicago, but it could end up being their guy. He's getting compared to like Sam Laporta a little bit, Chicago or Loveland, and that's a guy that Ben Johnson pretty much made into a star in this league. So I can understand why Loveland went 10, but I still think it might have been a mistake not to take Warren. I think Warren is, my opinion, could have been a top like 7 pick in this draft. And if you pass on him to get another tight end, you better hope he's a stud, because that's, I think, the bad move.
Eagles did not make any trades in round 2, and they selected Andrew Mukuba with the 64th overall pick, safety from Texas. They had him like 5'11", 3/4. That dude's 6 foot. Round that up. That's ridiculous. I don't like that. And I had him at 180, 190. So kind of a little bit of a large scale there. But yeah, Mukuba, not exactly who people thought the Eagles would be taking with their safety pick, but I mean, not against it.
No, not at all. I think they definitely were interested in Malachi Starks round 1. That they had a top 30 visit with him. They were definitely interested in Starks. And when he went to the Ravens, that kind of opened the floor that they could, and obviously Jihaad Campbell was on the board and they ended up taking Campbell. Still a good pick, but I think Starks is definitely something they were interested in. But Andrew Mukuba, someone I really wasn't looking at that much. I obviously saw him, and he was my, I believe, 4th ranked safety behind Kevin Winston, Starks, and Nicky Manwari. But this is a really good safety pick for the Eagles. He is very similar. I saw this tweet this morning. He's almost identical to C.J. Gardner-Johnson. They're about a couple, half an inch in height, apparently listed the same. Their arm length is almost identical. They ran pretty much the same exact 40-yard dash time. In college, C.J. Gardner-Johnson, 300-plus snaps in the slot box and deep in his 3 years of college. Mukuba had 400 played in the slot box and deep at his 4 years of college. So they pretty much have been the same player through college. Yeah, there's my rankings right there. Pretty much almost the same exact order that went. Mukuba went a little bit higher, and then Winston, then Watts. So definitely, I think they missed out on Starks. Them not taking Manwari at 31 pretty much told me that they love Campbell 1 and that Manwari probably wasn't the guy for them. I like Kevin Winston. I think he could have been really good for this defense as well. But they got Mukuba, who, in my opinion, is just a beat-him-down player. I remember in the SEC championship, he laid this nasty hit on Georgia quarterback Gunnar Stockton, almost knocked him out of the game. And I remember that hit, and I was like, dude, that was a really tough hit. He, in my opinion, in the secondary, can be the guy who talks his talk a little bit, but also backs it up with his big shoulder. And, before he was a Texas guy, he was at Clemson for 3 years. Do we remember the Eagles, a Clemson safety that went to the Eagles that was pretty good at hard hitting? Got the name of Brian Dawkins. He's a pretty damn good player. But no, I'm not going to say he's going to be Brian Dawkins, but I think that pick for Mukuba is a very high ceiling with a not so low floor. Like, I think at worst, he could be like an Avonte Maddox in this league, a safety corner slot kind of guy there. And that's still a really decent player, but he has the potential to be a really great player in this league. Someone who is just, I don't want to call him like a Cam Chancellor or an Earl Thomas, like someone like that, like a big hitter like that. But he think he has the potential to get to that kind of player. He was a kind of a center field guy at Texas. He can ball hawk as well. He struggles a little bit in the coverage. That's kind of been his number one thing that he struggles with. Tackling isn't the best either, too. That's, again, kind of the same, similar in C.J. Gardner-Johnson, but he can create turnovers. He had 5 interceptions last season, which was 4th in the entire nation. And that's something that you kind of want to bring back to the Eagles after you traded C.J. Gardner-Johnson. So they're kind of getting that guy almost similar to him now on a cheaper contract for 4 years now. So I really like this pick in Mukuba. I said all this time they needed a safety. They didn't get one round 1. And what do? They get their round 2 pick, a safety in Mukuba. They pretty much have addressed the 2 of some of the biggest positions that they've needed. And I really think that through 2 picks, the Eagles have gotten guys who you really didn't expect them to follow those picks. But again, the talent is there, and they fell for whatever reasons that teams didn't like them. And you ended up getting 2 guys who day one on opening day of this season could be impactful players moving forward for your team.
Yeah, I think Mukuba, I feel like it's his job to lose as the starting safety up there with Reed Blankenship. Definitely should be there. Hopefully it all goes well with him. Sidney Brown is the other guy that will be in contention for that job. Reed Blankenship, of course, will have the starting job. But yeah, I mean, he had a great freshman year with Clemson, missed that junior year with that shoulder injury, came back with Texas as a senior and was unbelievable. And he's going to be good. You mentioned the CJ Gardner-Johnson thing, and CJ brought that swagger with that Eagles defense, the talking and the chirping and all the things that he did, the celebrations. They went after some guys, and the Eagles don't really have that anymore. It's kind of hard to replicate that with CJ Gardner-Johnson. But Mukuba, you said he can talk a little bit, and he'll be able to back it up. We saw he had the game-winning interception against Arizona State in the Cotton Bowl.
Yes.
No, it was the
Peach Bowl.
Peach Bowl. Peach Bowl. And had that. He can make some big plays. You mentioned the big hit against Georgia. He can do some things that'll impress you on a football field. And Eagles need that in the secondary right now, which is not thin, but a little. It's like a thicker string, I'll say.
Yeah, it's on the young side, and they really have a lot of great guys back there now. They have Reed and the two young corners that they just drafted last year. I think they might add another corner today. We'll see, because they still got to fill another big spot there after losing Darius Slay and Isaiah Rodgers. But overall, they're building a very young secondary that can eventually turn into a veteran squad going forward. And I think Mukuba could be a really great player for them. He could be the mouthpiece that just – I don't want him to be a guy that just gets in fights all the time, but I want him to – if they punk you on a route, I want you to come back and bang hard, and I think that could be someone that Mukuba could be. So I really like this pick. Again, it's been really good for the Eagles through 2 days of the draft.
Yeah, another good pick. And I'm giving this one – give it a B.
Yeah.
I guess. I'm not putting this in the A's.
No.
I feel like Mukuba – seemed like he was projected to be a third-round guy. Eagles jump up and take him at the last pick in the second. What do you think?
I would agree with that. It's about right where he would have been drafted, late second, early third. After the first round, you kind of draft for like your needs. So like you may jump on a guy a little bit earlier than he was expected, but if you feel you want this guy and you don't pick for another 45 picks, you're going to draft this guy. So again, I'm not disappointed in the pick. Like, you didn't have to trade up for him to do anything like that. You didn't have to, give up any assets. You stayed right where you were at 64. You got the guy that you were probably projecting to be around that spot, maybe a little later, but that's okay. If you think he's your guy, you go get him. And yeah, I would say it's about a B to a B plus-ish pick, somewhere in between there. But that's overall, it's a guy that's going to fill in and be probably a day one starter on this team. It's like you said, it's his job to lose in training camp. If he doesn't win it, that's on him. Maybe they just didn't hit on this kid, and maybe he just won't be that great. But I'm hoping it's not the case, and I'm hoping that he comes in. Him and Reed Blankenship are a deadly duo, and then you go alongside Coop and Quinion at corner. Man, their secondary is looking really, really good right now.
It sure is, and hopefully it's not a miss. And but I'll tell you something that's not a miss, and that's SeatGeek. SeatGeek is the most easiest and efficient way to buy your tickets. Each seat is given a green, red, or a yellow dot, indicating whether that deal would be good, bad, or okay. Using the code Phillies Sports Report, you save $20 off your first SeatGeek purchase. PHILLYSPORTSREPORT. Save $20 off your first SeatGeek purchase. Link is in the description of the YouTube stream and in the bio of all of our social medias. So make sure you go check that out. I would say, Phillies are playing great, but they're not. I'm not going to lie to you. So maybe lay off the Phillies tickets right now, but it is getting warmer and some things are going on. So make sure you jump on top of that. And let's talk about day 3, which is going on a little bit later today. Eagles traded around in round 3, didn't have a pick, but they picked up a ton of draft capital today in day 3. Round 4, pick 111 and 130. They have basically back-to-back picks in round 5, 161, 165, 168, and then they round out their draft as of now in round 6 with 191. They'll probably move some things around today, but a lot of picks for the Eagles today.
No, yeah, and then they've been doing this this draft and next year's draft. They've been just stockpiling draft picks for them to be able to trade up at any point. You kind of saw it yesterday. They moved down from 96 to 101 with the Falcons, and they got a 5th round pick next year. That basically covers the 5th round pick they lost this year when they had to trade up and get in one spot to get Campbell. So it kind of evens everything out. I definitely think that they may have lost a player last night that they really wanted when they were at 101, and that's why they wanted to trade back with Denver, because they felt that they just lost a guy. I'm not sure who it would be, maybe an offensive lineman, but maybe that was a reason why they traded back down from 101 to 111. But that's okay. You lose guys all the time, and you try to find new guys today. And today, they have 6 picks today. That's a really big thing for this team. They could go in a multitude of directions today. I really don't know the only thing I know that's guaranteed in my opinion is I think they're taking at some point today a D tackle because they got to replace Milton Williams' spot. But other than that, I really don't know. I can't guarantee you what position is going to go next after that. It could be a quarterback. It could be a running back. It could be a tight end. It could be another secondary guy, an edge. I think maybe going another edge rush today. Maybe that might be the guarantee, and that's just because that's the Eagles who they are. But other than defensive tackle, I really don't know what position they are definitely taking today.
Yeah, and this has been the big talk in football and really culture right now is Shedeur Sanders is still on the board. This is day 3, and the number 2 ranked quarterback is still available. What is going on?
Man, the best thing I can say for Shedeur Sanders, I didn't have him as a day 1 talent. I thought it was smoke and mirrors that he was going to be the number 3 pick to the Giants. I just didn't think that was ever going to happen because I, for one, just didn't think he was that great to be the number 3 pick. I know teams need quarterbacks, but I never thought he was a first-round talent. I really thought he would have been a day 2 guy, whether it's round 2 or round 3. But, man, last night, watching guys like Tyler Shuck go over him, Milroe, I'm not that, shocked that he went over him because I think Milroe has traits that translate well to the NFL, the running ability, throw on the run, play creating, stuff like that. I think that is the thing that NFL teams like. But when Dylan Gabriel went to the Browns last night, the Oregon quarterback, over Shedeur, that's when I knew that this was getting out of hand. And I feel for the kid a little bit because I want the kid to get drafted. It's his dream, playing football. You want to get drafted eventually in the NFL, but it is not looking great for him. I think it's a multitude of things why this is happening. I don't think he really nailed any of his pre-draft interviews. I think a report came out this morning that the Giants fell out of love with him after Dable pretty much just ate him up during their interviews at the Combine. And speaking of the Combine, I think a thing that didn't help him was he didn't run at the Combine. He didn't show off any skills. All he did was do interviews. And you usually only do that when you're guaranteed to be a top pick or you're hurt, and he wasn't hurt. So that pretty much told teams this guy thinks he's a top pick. I really don't know about that. He didn't throw at the Senior Bowl. That was another thing too. So really the only time that people have seen him play other than his tape, which you really don't know, you really can't tell much from tape. You really want to get an in-depth view of this guy, is that Colorado's private workout. And other than that, they really didn't do much with him anywhere else. So teams have been thrown off with that, I think, a lot. I don't think they really have seen enough from him. I think that is a big reason. And again, I don't think they really want to deal with Deion. I truly think Deion has literally said on record, while he has now said that he doesn't want to coach in the NFL, he wants to eventually just keep coaching Shedeur. And what can you do if you're a team and you draft that quarterback? You're just going to tell your coach, yeah, we're going to take you out for Deion Sanders one day. That coach has to answer all those questions now. And then you have to keep talking. The GM has to keep answering, is Shedeur ever going to play? Is Shedeur ever going to play? I don't think this is a great thing for anybody, and even for him. That's why I don't think a team like the Eagles should even touch Shedeur. It's just you're creating media that you don't want, especially in the city of Philadelphia. You don't want to deal with that. I think right now the best thing for Shedeur is if he goes to a team that has an established quarterback, a top guy. I think the Baltimore Ravens is a team would be a great fit for Shedeur. You sit behind Lamar Jackson, who is considered a top 3 quarterback in the NFL, and there aren't any narratives of what if Lamar plays bad? You start. No, Lamar is your quarterback through and through, but it also gives Shedeur a chance to learn behind Lamar Jackson, who's a great quarterback. I think that's a really good fit for them. I don't really want to see that because I don't want to see Baltimore succeed, but, but yeah, I don't know when he's going to get picked. It's crazy to say this, but I wouldn't be shocked at this point if the league has just ostracized him out and they're just going to say you're not getting drafted, and he might even be a non-draftee guy today, which is crazy to think that a guy who was mocked less than a week ago in the top 5 is not even going to get drafted. That would be actually insane.
Yeah, I mean, we've never really seen anything quite like what is going on before, and we've never really seen something like this go on in college football, where guys are getting paid millions of dollars before they step foot into the National Football League. And we were both talking a little bit before, could this be the NFL kind of be like, we can't allow, we need to be the top dogs, and we're going to pay you all the money. Like, if all you want in college is the money and the fame and the NIL deals, then you're not going to succeed in the NFL. We're not going to take you. Is this kind of a counter punch?
Yeah, maybe a little bit. It's character is the biggest thing. People were talking about this earlier this week with the Eagles. You got to pass the Dom DeSandro test if you want to be an Eagle, which is great character and just a great guy in general that could fit a good culture. Excuse me. Losing character is a big thing in this league, and it's something that you don't really think about when you're 19 years old in college and you're transferring 3 times and you keep saying that it's not everybody's fault except your own. Teams look at that stuff, and some guys, if they're talented enough, they can get past those allegations and get past all those things. But I like Siddur. I think he's a decent player, but he has his flaws. And I think it's really hurting him right now that he just didn't show teams what he could do at the Combine or the Senior Bowl, and the NIL stuff, and how he could just make more money if he goes back to college and for another year. And it's truly affecting him. All those things together, I think, are just affecting him in general. And the NFL, like you said, they have a narrative that they want to make sure that they take the top dogs in this world. And we'll see if this happens to any other kids going forward, if teams just don't want to deal with character issues and stuff like that and the media that they bring in. But yeah, it's a mix of pretty much everything, I think, right now that is the reason that Siddur is not off the board yet.
Yeah, I mean, in the NFL, in the real world, you're nothing without your character.
Mm-hmm.
And it certainly it seems like it could be showing a little bit today. All right, Eagles got 6 picks in day 3, the final day of the NFL draft. Where do you see the Eagles going?
So, like I mentioned before, I think the one position they're almost guaranteed is a defensive tackle. And there's some really good ties up top. Joshua Farmer from Florida State, he's the top guy right now. He's a really big, tough defensive tackle, like just big, like huge guy that I think they could go with. Ty Robinson's another one out of Nebraska. He's kind of the more fast defensive tackle S type, kind of like how Mason Graham is. Another one, a guy who I have really loved, and I mocked him in my first mock for the Eagles, JJ Pegoose out of Ole Miss. That guy is I think he's just a big old, I love talking about big old defensive linemen. They're so big. I love it. I love talking about defensive linemen. That guy is just going to be a mess in the middle, kind of like a Jordan Davis-esque type player. He just is going to fill so many gaps and just seems like such a positive kid. You missed out on one Ole Miss defensive tackle, Walter Nolan, in the first round. Thanks a lot, Jonathan Gannon. But you could get another guy too. I would, if they can get one of those 3 guys at their top pick, like coming up, because I think they have the 9th pick today in the 4th round.
111.
111, yeah, the 9th pick. Wouldn't be mad at any of those picks right there. Maybe get another guy later. Another position, like I talked about, I think edge rusher will be drafted today at some point, like a true edge. Jack Sawyer is someone who I truly thought he could have been like a second, late, or kind of like a latest second, maybe a middle of the pack, second round pick if a team really liked him. He was a beast at Ohio State, and I'm really shocked that he has fallen to day 3. I really thought he was going to get drafted yesterday, and he's still sitting on the board right now as one of the top guys available. I wouldn't be upset with that pick either. That's the kind of guy who he really just loves. He's another great character guy that could fill in and just be a great guy for this team. He was a beast at Ohio State. I don't remember the fumble recovery. I think it was against Texas that he ran all the way back. That was him. He was absolutely dominant in the college football playoff last year. He was a big reason why Ohio State ended up winning the title last year. And man, I'm still just really shocked that he is still on the board right now. Again, that's someone who I think they could take with their first selection coming up at noon. And when the draft starts at noon. Braden Swinson from LSU, Tyron Ingram Dawkins from Georgia. 2 other edge rushers who are near the top of the top players available. Another couple guys that I think they could take. Edge, they kind of like have that guy in Campbell, but they always could use more edge rushers and more defensive line guys. I definitely think that could be a position they target after. Other than that, I truly think that they're going to take a running back at some point today. I can't guarantee it, but I truly think they're going to take a running back at some point today. And you might be thinking, Matt, why are they taking a running back? They have Saquon Barkley, they have A.J. Dillon, they even have a guy, Will Shipley, last year from Clemson. I think they really want a guy who can kind of be like a home run hitter with his speed. And I don't want to say like a Darren Sproles type player, but just someone who has some speed and with the ball in his hands can take 80 yards down the field and not be caught. Because you kind of have your big bruiser running backs. You have A.J. Dillon. That's his role. His role is big bruiser, go get me a yard or two if you need to in short yard situations. Barkley does that as well, but Barkley also is a freak of nature and does pretty much everything. Saquon Barkley is like 6 running backs in one, which is absolutely ridiculous. I still can't believe he's an Eagle to this day. But I think they're like guys like Will Shipley. He got some playing time last year late in the season when Barkley was sitting out or late in fourth quarters. And they really like him too. But when you got guys like Dylan Sampson from Tennessee still available, Devin Neal from Kansas still available, Jordan James, another home run hitter for Oregon, Trevor Etienne, his brother Travis is in the league right now. These are all guys who can put the ball in their hands and they can run it 80 yards and just quick, speedy guys, get them on screen passes on third downs that can maybe make something out of nothing. And maybe you can hit on a guy who could be really good. Saquon Barkley isn't getting younger. He's only getting older. And the concerns for him, there's a reason there. They really didn't want to give him a long-term contract, the first one. They finally gave him an extra couple extension years. And Saquon's going to be this running back for this next couple seasons. But you always want to have depth guys in case of injuries and stuff like that. And I really think that running back is a position they're going to target. Jadon Blue, another guy I talked about in my mocks. He was a guy that had a top 30 visit with the Eagles. He could be someone that's available too. I mentioned ETN, and that's another guy I really like that's still available. Dylan Sampson's another one too. I don't know if they're going to be able to get a guy like Sampson. I think he's going to go in a couple early picks here in the 4th round. So unless they use their first pick on him, I don't know if you really should do that. But I think running back will eventually be drafted today.
Draft expert Matt Brown has it.
Love this draft time. Love drafts. Love it.
Don't be surprised if the Eagles go quarterback today. They seem to always pick a quarterback every year or so. It seems like every other year they take a quarterback. The Eagles will always be a quarterback factory. So that's don't be surprised if it won't be anything big. Like it won't be Shedeur Sanders or anything, but we had a comment on Instagram a little bit ago asking if there was any chance the Eagles got Shedeur Sanders. I'm going to answer that question right here. No.
The funny thing was Tanner McKee kind of came up in like trade conversations for like on Eagles Twitter. Would you trade Tanner McKee? I would have done it if it would have been like for a day 2 pick or maybe even a 4th, but you're not getting that much for Tanner McKee. McKee knows this offense. He's done it pretty well. He looked pretty good in that Dallas game this past year, but I could definitely see them drafting like a Seth Hennigan from Memphis. He's one of the bottom tier quarterbacks. I don't know if like McCord really fits their offense. Maybe a Kyle McCord from Syracuse. Riley Leonard, the Notre Dame quarterback. If he goes undrafted, I could see, or even they get like a 7th round pick, something like that. I could see them definitely finding a way for a quarterback to find his way on the roster this year, whether it's a practice squad, something like that. I definitely could see them taking someone either with that 6th round pick or getting an undrafted free agent if someone falls in their laps. I definitely think a quarterback, a big name-ish kind of guy, will be on the roster at the end of the day because, again, like you said, they just QB factor. They want to keep bringing more and more guys in that can fit their system, and that's definitely something that could work out for the quarterback. Other than that, I think those positions pretty much have been filled. O-line is the only other really question mark I have because they have O-line and they have the depth with Trevor Keegan, Kenyon Green, Tyler Steen's probably going to be a star this year. They could go an offensive lineman today. Marcus Bowe from Purdue was another guy, a top 30 visit guy for the Eagles, who is still on the board in day 3. He was supposed to be a day 2 pick, and he's still on the board. That could be someone they could pick at the top of the hour coming up with their first selection in the 4th round, maybe. Other than that, though, O-line are really hard to project. I really haven't seen anybody I love that's available. Maybe that's different in their draft room. I don't know what the Eagles are thinking. But other than that, maybe a Jackson Slater. That's another guy I kind of liked. Other than that, all the other guys, they're hit or miss guys. They could be 7th round picks. They could be undrafted free agents. I really wouldn't reach on any of them in the 5th round, maybe. And they might take a corner. I highly doubt it, though. I think they have their depth in the secondary right now. Maybe get someone late. I'm not sure. But I think if I had to bet on 3 positions to get drafted today, I think defensive tackle, edge rusher, and running back are the 3 I think that the Eagles are 100% at some point going to take today with the 6 picks they have. Other than that, we'll see what they end up drafting. Maybe depth, maybe a tight end. I think all the tight ends are off the board right now. Dallas Goedert's sticking around. But right now, I think those 3 positions, edge, defensive tackle, halfback, are going to be the position I would have to think they would draft today.
All 6 picks will be written up at phillysportsports.com. The Eagles have like back-to-back-to-back in round 5. So that'll all be in one story. But make sure to go check those out throughout the afternoon. All right, we want to thank FOCO as well because they are the best. Real fans, they need the best gear. They make the most legendary gear for the most legendary fans. Click on the link in the description or the bio to save 10% off any in-stock item at FOCO. If you are a college fan and you're like, hey, the Eagles are taking my guy, get some Eagles merch at FOCO. Use that link. We got it everywhere to save some money. All right, let's go negative. We talked about a good Eagles draft, and now the Phillies are horrible. No way they're gonna. They're playing. They've lost 5 straight. They got another game, national TV in Chicago this afternoon. As a team, they're slashing 248, 337, 375, and that's good for a 712 OPS. Their average ranks 8th in baseball. Their on-base percentage is 3rd in baseball. Their slugging is probably not anywhere close. Let's see. I'm scrolling. Their slugging is 23rd in baseball, and their OPS is 12th in the major leagues. So I mean, when you look at it, it's not horrible offensively when you're looking at rankings among the league, but the Phillies are 500 and they've lost 5 straight, and their bullpen's horrible too. I'm not even going to look at those stats because that scares me. But like, what do you do? Like, it's April 26th. We're not even in May yet, and it already feels like the panic button is being slammed.
Well, I agree with that. You know, they've had bad starts to the season throughout this Phillies tenure with Rob Thompson. And again, it's such a long season to be panicking right now so much. But, excuse me, I think the panic button has been really amplified this year because this year is such a big year for them in terms of their core because they're only getting older. These guys, like Kyle Schwarber and JT Realmuto and Nick Castellanos and Bryce Harper, they're only getting older. Like every single year, this team feels like they're going down the slope. Like they peaked high at the World Series, then they went NLCS, then divisional loss, then they just couldn't keep going and going. Like they just can't keep going down the hill. And age is a thing that I think people are panicking about, and they just might not be that good. They might not be. We'll see. I think the one thing that's going to help them, hopefully, is this warmer weather should hopefully get them back to their swinging ways and being better. But like you mentioned, the bullpen is just playing not great baseball. The thing that really is making me mad with this team, and it showed me yesterday during the Cubs game. If you watched yesterday's Cubs game, you saw right away that weather was affecting the game. It was a 2-hour rain delay. The wind was blowing in big time in that game in Chicago. And because of it, you saw right away what happened. The first inning, bottom of the first, after Ian Happ had a double, Kyle Tucker comes up and he hits a blooper to left. And it was because the wind just kept blowing that ball in. Kepler played it terrible. Turner played it terrible. And eventually Tucker got on with a single, and it was 1st and 3rd Cubs. Cubs didn't end up scoring, but that was the way that the Cubs knew they were going to have to win that game. And that's the advantage, I guess, playing in Chicago, that being their home field. They know how they're supposed to approach games, weather. But the Phillies didn't change their approach one bit yesterday. Throughout the game, you knew that was not going to be a home run able game. You knew that teams weren't going to be able to hit home runs in yesterday's game unless you truly murdered a ball and got it out to the outfield. The wind was coming in, and the Cubs yesterday were able to just dink and dunk runs, get 1 run an inning 4 times throughout yesterday's game by slapping hits down, hitting line drives so they could get under the win and hitting low and not trying to drive the ball up. The Phillies, they would get a couple guys on and they still try to hit 3-run homers. And that's just not the way that they're going to win these games. Harper just had some terrible at-bats yesterday too. The tone just wasn't there, and they're just not adjusting. It's very frustrating. They left 10 guys on base yesterday, 0 for 6 runners in scoring position. That's been the highlight of this year, that they can't hit with guys runners in scoring position, and they keep leaving guys on base. And as bad as the bullpen has been, this offense is just so meh. Like, they put up terrible performances for their starting pitching. Aaron Nola has been giving no run support this year. Same with Zach Wheeler, honestly. Luzardo has been their best pitcher, but even then, they still haven't won every start of him, even though he's been great, because they just don't score enough runs. And the Cubs' offense is really good. Like, I thought they were going to be a little bit better yesterday, but I guess the weather was affecting the way they were swinging at the plate. Aaron Nola tomorrow, he might let up a lot of runs tomorrow night on Sunday Night Baseball. He might let up a lot of runs today. The Cubs' offense is good. We need to score runs if we want any chance of winning these games versus the Cubs and just winning moving forward, because this offense just doesn't like to adjust. Right now, I think the best thing they can do is just give some hope back. And I don't know if that's bringing up a prospect, bringing maybe Garrett Stubbs back up to get the vibes back up. I don't know what they need to do that. But I just need to know that they care. Like, I'm really itching for them to call like a players meeting or something, because they know that they should be playing better than this. And I'm just tired of media going to Bryce Harper's locker and it's like, yeah, we just didn't hit well tonight, and we're just gonna come back tomorrow and just be a better team, hopefully. Like, I'm tired of hearing the same thing from them post game and all that. I want them to start picking things up and just playing better baseball, because I know they have the talent to play better. I've seen it the last 3 years, and I get that they're older, but you need to try something different. And whether that's taking accountability or something like that, they just need to be better. And it's very frustrating as a fan who knows that this team could be a World Series team if they really put it all together.
Yeah, I mean, I've been saying this for months, because it's been going on for months. But when are you going to expect anything different when it's the same team for 3 straight years? This core has not changed since 2023, really, when Trey Turner was brought in. There hasn't been the most significant lineup over the past 3 years has been the addition of Max Kepler, which really isn't. He's swinging the bat well, but it really hasn't been much of anything. It's the same story every year. I mean, their chase rate is better this year, but they're not scoring with runners on. They live and die by the long ball, and when they really are dying, they are dying by the long ball. And you've seen it. They haven't hit a home run since Friday against the Mets, or I guess Monday against the Mets.
Yeah.
When Bryson Stott hit the meaningless home run in the 9th inning, which he's really not the guy who should be hitting the home run anyway. But, they're dying by the long ball in extreme fashion. So it's a problem right now. And right now, I don't know how you fix it, because you can't fire anybody in April. It's the first month of your sport. It's tough. And I'm stuck.
Yeah. And again, with the firing, like, if they fire Kevin Long, just say they fire Kevin Long, if they bring in a hitting coach, you think you think Bryce Harper and Trey Turner are going to listen to a hitting coach tell them what to do? No. Like, it don't matter who they bring in. They're not going to listen to these guys. It's on guys like Kevin Long to help them adjust on their approach and have better at-bats so they can get runs going. Same thing with Caleb Cotham. You think Caleb Cotham should be fired? You think a new pitching coach is just going to come in and instantly change all the bullpen arms they have? I think they need to make some changes and start bringing up some young pitching, because I think that they just need a spark change. A guy like Mick Abel and Griff McGarry may be the guys that they need to get in this bullpen, or if maybe even Andrew Painter. We'll see, but that's more down the road. Firing Rob Thompson, I think, is one of the most idiotic things people are saying. The thing that pisses me off a lot with Phillies fans is things will happen, like the one other day when Kirkland gave up that bomb in the Marlins game, the last game of the Marlins series, and they're like, we're really pitching Kirkland here in the biggest spot of the game when we're up by 1 or whatever the score was. And I'm just sitting there and I'm reading this guy tweeting this. I'm like, what do you want Thompson to do? They're shot in their bullpen. They don't have Stromer Alvarado. or they were saving Alvarado till later so they can close the game. Like, you don't have Strahm because he already pitched that game. Who else do you want to throw? Do you want to throw Romano back out there again? He's been bad. Joe Ross wasn't available at the time. These are the guys that Thompson was given, especially in his bullpen. Like, what do you want him to do? And then the one thing I have issue with him is his inability to just let the offense be stubborn. Stubborn old man is a thing is a way that I've been calling this Phillies offense. They're stuck in their ways. They don't want to change how they play. Like you said, they want to live and die by the long ball. And when that's going well, it's great, but they refuse to ever just not be themselves and not play the way that they know can win with the long ball. There will never be a game this year where Rob will tell Castellanos, Harper, any of the Turner, all to bunt or to just really be a guy like that, or to pinch hit. He will not pinch hit any of those guys this year at all, because even if Castellanos is 0-for-11 versus a guy, he will not put a lefty in for his spot, because he's very stubborn, and they're all stubborn that they want to play every single inning this year. And it just isn't working for them right now in the way that they approach the game right now. And it's very frustrating in that sense. So on the offensive side, I can understand he just doesn't want to take those guys out. And I understand they're the best players on the team, and they should be. But it comes to a point where it's just, like you said, a frustrating way of playing baseball right now. And they're so stuck in their way, and they want to live and die by a certain way that they play. And I just don't think it's working out for them.
Yeah, I mean, definitely not. And I don't know what you do, because there's not much in that farm system to add to this team right now. And you hope they return home Monday against Washington, or Tuesday. Yeah, Tuesday. And you just gotta hope that something comes and something happens, something clicks. It seems sometimes things click at home, but I don't know. We'll see. I'm in this spot where they stink, but I'm riding right now. Mm-hmm. And hopefully things get better soon. Because if they don't get better soon, we're gonna have a problem. They're already 7 games back in the NL East to the Mets.
That was a big series to get swept in, because now they have the advantage right now going forward, and it's going to take a lot for them to get back up this hill that they've already dug themselves. And like you said, it's not really the young talent. They have young talent that eventually will get here. I think Justin Crawford's going to eventually be a guy that will probably get in this lineup at some point, just because even though Rojas has been playing well, I just still think they need a spark somewhere in the lineup. But other than pitching, they just don't have young hitters. So it's going to be this offense for majority of the year until at least the trade deadline, before they even try to make some kind of acquisition. But it's on them. It starts with Harper and Turner and all them. It's on them to really get going. Like, this warm weather's coming. They need to know that they need to start playing better, and it really starts. I thought it was going to start this Cup series. I think this is a make or break series for them. I wrote about that. I really think that if they can get some good quality wins this weekend, they already didn't get one yesterday. Hopefully they can get 2 today and tomorrow. They can start feeling better about themselves and stop feeling so down. But man, it's looking grim right now. Like you said, I'm still riding with them. I'm still going to root for them all year, but it's going to be dark until they start winning.
Yeah, hopefully that comes soon. Matt, thanks for coming on today. Enjoy day 3. Go read Matt Brown at PhilliesSportsports.com. He's doing a bunch of stuff with the draft. And follow him at Matt_Brown63. Matt, I'll see you.
See you, man. Thank you.
All right, that's going to do it for today's Philly Sports Hour here on Saturday, April 26th. What do we got coming up? We got day 3 of the draft beginning at 12 o'clock, a.k.a. right now. So as soon as we go off the air, go check that out for our live listeners. And the Phillies are on at 4:05. Jesus Luzardo on the mound. Hopefully they can come away with a win today. Thank you to everyone for watching and listening to the Philly Sports Hour. If you ever miss a live Philly Sports Hour, reminder, they're always live 11 a.m. every Saturday on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. You can always go listen always on YouTube and wherever you find your podcasts. Check out PhilliesSportsports.com where everything is going on. And that's going to do it here at the Philly Sports Hour. I'm Ben Goldstein. Thank you all for watching, listening. We will see you next week.
Swing and a drive, left field. It's deep. It's gone. Yes! And it is gone. Yes. It is bedlam at the bank. Look at the doctor. Yes, he's got it. Here he comes. Way back to the puck and they score! And Giroux's got it! Justice fires! Blasters goal! Birdie back again. He's got to be 10 and 4 forward.